You got Ashton Kutcher in love with Mila Kunis on that 70s show. Then they break up for absolutely no reason after he starts hanging out with Diddy. Then he marries Demi Moore, who drained him of all the adrenochrome she can, and apparently he replenished himself by doing inappropriate things with her daughters.
It appears federal authorities are taking new action, and this time, reports suggest Ashton Kutcher may be involved. According to online leaks gaining traction, Kutcher has allegedly been arrested as a co-conspirator in the ongoing investigation surrounding Sean Diddy Combs. If true, this could explain Kutcher's extended absence from the public eye. No interviews, no red carpet events, and not a single paparazzi sighting. People are beginning to speculate that he may already be in custody, but that's only the beginning. As scrutiny intensifies, parts of Kutcher's past are being revisited. In high school, he was convicted of third-degree burglary after breaking into his own school to cheat and steal money, a felony charge that many had forgotten. Years later, he became a regular presence at Diddy's infamous white parties, which are now closely linked to disturbing allegations detailed in legal documents. Adding to the growing speculation are long-circulating rumors about his alleged relationship with Lindsay Lohan when she was reportedly just 16. When taken together, these details are causing many to reconsider Kutcher's role in recent headlines. The timeline connecting him to questionable events now appears less coincidental and more suspicious. There's also renewed attention on the tragic death of Ashley Ellerin, Kutcher's former girlfriend, whose case continues to raise questions years later. And as if all that weren't enough, more unsettling details are emerging. Mila Kunis has reportedly filed for divorce, with sources claiming she's no longer willing to protect Ashton Kutcher. This latest scandal might have been the final turning point. So the question now is, did federal agents really arrest Kutcher? Is he involved in the Diddy investigation as a silent co-conspirator? And what information did Mila uncover that prompted her swift departure?
Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis split rumors have been circulating online after his friendship with Diddy has been put under a magnifying glass following the rapper's arrest. But here's why. Photos resurfaced online of Ashton with Diddy, as well as videos in which he discussed the duo's friendship and made comments about the rapper's parties. In 2019, while doing an appearance on Hot Ones, the That 70s Show star said the two had become fast friends.
Diddy party stories, they're our favorite genre of anecdote, if you have one, yeah.
Wow, okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So, I can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them. There was one moment, so it's not really a party story, but...
Let's take a closer look at the timeline and events surrounding these allegations. What many people may not realize is that Ashton Kutcher was never the clean-cut Hollywood image often portrayed in media. Long before fame, long before That 70s Show, tech ventures, or talk show appearances, Kutcher carried a legal stain from his teenage years. During his senior year of high school, he broke into his own school, not for mischief, but to steal money and cheat on an exam. That incident led to his arrest and a conviction for third-degree burglary, a serious felony. The consequences were significant. He lost college scholarships, forfeited his clean record, and even his right to vote. However, years later, after becoming a public figure, he used financial means to have the conviction expunged. His voting rights were restored, and the past was largely erased from public view, a stark reminder of how wealth can reshape one's legal reality. Afterward, Kutcher enrolled at the University of Iowa, but his time there was short-lived. He openly acknowledged that he partied heavily, leading to eviction from his apartment for disruptive behavior. He soon dropped out and relocated to New York, where he began modeling alongside rising talents like Tom Welling of Smallville fame. But that's just the beginning, because things take a far darker turn when the name Ashley Ellerin comes up. She was a 22-year-old fashion student and Ashton Kutcher's girlfriend at the time. On the night she was tragically found deceased, Ashton reportedly arrived late to her residence. According to his statement, he looked through the window and saw what he thought were red stains on the carpet, assuming it was spilled wine, and left without further investigation. By the next morning, Ashley was discovered inside that same home, a victim of a brutal act. Public reaction to Kutcher's account has always included doubt. Many questioned how someone could see a red-stained carpet and not confirm the safety of the person they intended to visit. That moment and the decision to leave has drawn criticism and scrutiny for years. Ashley's case isn't the only incident raising eyebrows. Ashton Kutcher was also known to be close with actress Brittany Murphy.
Our relationship was really bizarre. So it started over punked, because he was like, yo,
don't punk
you
me.
can't punk me. And I was like, I don't want to tell you, everybody's on the table. He's like, not me, I'm off the table. And so that started our conversation. We became fast friends, and we used to just hang out, watch football together. And he came over, and I was like, I'm going for a run. He's like, oh, I'll go for a run with you. And so he comes over to go for a run. About halfway through the run, he's like, yo, I'm running out of gas right now. But we had like paparazzi all around us at the time. He's like, you gotta slow down, but make it look like you're not slowing down.
Because he had to
I don't wanna look like I'm not gonna be able to finish this thing. And he was losing it, right? Like he was like me right now with the wings and the heat's starting to kick up. And he's like, and so we finish out the run. And then he was so upset over the fact that he got skunked on this run.
Who passed away suddenly at the age of 32. The official cause was ruled as pneumonia, combined with anemia. However, the circumstances took a strange turn when her husband, Simon Monjack, died just months later, reportedly from the exact same causes. These similarities led to widespread speculation. 2 sudden deaths, linked by personal connections and eerily identical medical conclusions. It didn't take long for online discussions to begin connecting dots, questioning whether something more complex was at play. Now, with Kutcher's name tied to Diddy's notorious white parties, events that have surfaced repeatedly in the federal case, people are asking if Ashton's past holds darker connections than previously assumed. These men traveled the globe, hosting lavish parties, manipulating networks, and allegedly orchestrating activities behind closed doors the public was never meant to uncover. Reports suggest Ashton Kutcher even introduced Diddy to WeWork's former CEO, Adam Neumann, the controversial executive known for leading one of the biggest startup collapses in history. Neumann allegedly misled investors, squandered billions, and ran WeWork into the ground under a leadership style often described as cult-like and erratic. Here's where the situation takes a chilling turn. When money, power, and secrecy mix, it doesn't just create alliances, it builds fortresses. Fortresses where silence is the foundation and exposure is the enemy. Proof of this secrecy is apparent. Go online and search Hollywood Rat Pack alongside the names of those involved. The results are scarce. It's as if someone went in and wiped the internet clean, scrubbed every trace from top to bottom with precision. Why the digital disappearance? Because since Diddy's arrest, Ashton and Mila have adopted a stealth strategy, going quiet in ways that raise questions. Public behavior shifted quickly. Suddenly, it appeared as though they were distancing themselves entirely, acting as if Diddy was a vague acquaintance from some long-forgotten event. But history shows deeper connections. This isn't the first time such a retreat has occurred. When Danny Masterson was convicted, the pattern repeated itself. Long-standing friendships, celebratory posts, and photos from family gatherings were all swiftly deleted. Public records were retracted and rewritten as if those relationships had never existed at all. It's giving full-scale rebrand. It's giving meticulous damage control. And it fits into a much larger pattern that's becoming impossible to ignore. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis have long been associated with deep-rooted connections to the Church of Scientology. Their closest friends have ties to the organization, and rumors suggest their inner circle, including some staff, has been deeply embedded within that network. And what does that mean in practical terms? Media control on an elite level. Scientology has a well-documented history of managing headlines, intimidating journalists, and suppressing damaging narratives before they ever reach the public. So if certain stories seem to disappear overnight without a trace, there's a reason. And now, that reason is becoming harder to deny. In an interview, when asked directly about Diddy's now infamous parties, Ashton once said there was a lot he can't tell. That single statement sent shockwaves across online platforms, prompting endless speculation. Theories spread rapidly.
That year, he decided to run the New York Marathon. And so he just started immediately training for the New York Marathon.
I like that. Bounce back.
Well, he just can't lose. Even when he's that close to humility, that it becomes a driver. And so then he went out and ran the New York Marathon.
Rumors then began to swirl that the actor and his wife might be heading towards a breakup. However, a source slammed the split speculation, telling People Wednesday this is absolutely ridiculous and false. Meanwhile, another source appeared to clarify to the outlet about Ashton and the rapper's bond, saying, Ashton has no involvement in any of this. He doesn't belong in this conversation about Diddy. Ashton has only seen Diddy in a handful of social and business events, all of which have been documented by the media.
With allegations suggesting that what he can't tell may involve everything from exploitative gatherings to conduct eerily similar to the behavior now being scrutinized in Diddy's federal trial. And then there's Thorn, Ashton's nonprofit initiative, established to combat child exploitation on digital platforms. On the surface, it appears commendable and forward-thinking, a mission rooted in justice and protection. Even prominent lawmakers and tech companies praised its aims. However, beneath the praise lies growing concern. Behind the scenes, far more is being hidden than revealed. Several documents tied to the Thorn organization are heavily redacted, and the timing of certain associations appears far too convenient to be ignored. Even formal Freedom of Information Act requests have been filed in an attempt to dig deeper into the surrounding circumstances. That alone shows just how murky the situation has become. Then, almost without warning, Ashton Kutcher quietly resigned from Thorn's board of directors. No formal explanation was given. However, sources close to the matter suggest it wasn't voluntary. It was preemptive. Allegedly, the organization was preparing for heightened scrutiny, and he chose to step back before the questions became unavoidable. Now, shifting focus, let's talk about Davy Chase, the former child actress best known for her haunting role in The Ring. While most assumed she left Hollywood by choice, whispers from behind the scenes suggest something more troubling. The rumors point to a specific night when she was allegedly invited to a party hosted by Diddy and Ashton Kutcher. At the time, Chase was reportedly underage. And ever since that night, her life took a downward turn. Arrests, substance-related charges, and multiple stints in jail followed. In 2019, she was booked for a misdemeanor. Just months earlier, she'd already been charged with drug possession. And by early 2024, she was arrested again, this time in Hollywood, for another unrelated incident. What was once a promising career spiraled rapidly into a series of mugshots and court dates. And the online chatter isn't just chalking it up to bad luck. Allegations suggest that something happened at that infamous party, something deeply traumatic, something that caused irreversible damage. And here's where things get even more unsettling. Davy Chase wasn't the only one surrounded by controversy. Allegations have surfaced suggesting Ashton Kutcher maintained a pattern of questionable behavior involving underage girls. Online discussions have reignited claims that he was romantically linked to Lindsay Lohan when she was just 16 years old. After their alleged relationship ended, Lohan reportedly began dating Wilmer Valderrama, who was in his 20s at the time. The pattern that emerges is raising serious questions about the behavior within this celebrity circle. What's troubling is that Ashton wasn't just associated with the group, he appeared to be central within it. When analyzed alongside Diddy's mounting legal troubles, it paints a disturbing picture. From Ashton to Wilmer to Danny Masterson, the narrative forming online suggests a deeper web of alleged misconduct, triggering renewed scrutiny into their connections. Now turning the focus to Wilmer Valderrama, his record has long sparked controversy. He met pop star Mandy Moore when she was just 15 and he was 20. Both publicly claimed nothing inappropriate occurred during that time. However, years later, Moore confirmed that a romantic relationship had indeed happened while she was still underage, sparking backlash. The most disturbing moment came during a now infamous interview with Howard Stern. In it, Wilmer boasted about being the first to have been intimate with Moore. He joked, he laughed, and he treated it as entertainment. Moore later responded by stating not only was the story false, but it also caused her significant emotional pain and embarrassment. And then came Lindsay Lohan. At the peak of her fame in the early 2000s, Lohan was constantly in the media spotlight. She was 17 and Valderrama was 24. Both insisted the relationship didn't begin until after she turned 18. Yet, coincidentally, they went public immediately following her birthday. The timeline has left many questioning whether this was yet another example of inappropriate behavior hidden in plain sight.
Diddy was arrested last week in New York on charges of sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He pleaded not guilty but was denied bail. Ashton and Mila previously came under scrutiny for writing letters of support for their 70s show co-star Danny Masterson while he was awaiting sentencing after being convicted of rape. The two released a video addressing the backlash, and Ashton also ended up announcing that he would be stepping down from his role as chairman of the board at Thorn, an anti-child sex abuse organization he co-founded in 2009 with ex-Demi Moore.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, or rape.
By 2010, Wilmer Valderrama began spending significant time with a young Demi Lovato. Publicly, the narrative was familiar, just friends, more like siblings. But the pattern repeated itself once again. On Demi's 18th birthday, they suddenly announced they were a couple. At the time, Wilmer was 29 years old, over a decade her senior. Later, Demi revealed that the relationship had actually started before she reached legal age. It was another instance that mirrored a now disturbing blueprint. From Mandy Moore to Lindsay Lohan and then Demi Lovato, the timeline across these relationships followed a recognizable structure. The just friends line, the sudden status change at midnight on a birthday. It's a narrative that became too consistent to ignore. In 2022, Demi broke her silence the most impactful way possible. She released a song titled 29. The lyrics were unmistakably pointed, leaving little room for speculation. While names weren't directly mentioned, listeners and industry insiders quickly recognized who the subject was. Demi later confirmed the song's message in interviews, stating clearly, "The song says it all." Meanwhile, internet forums and archived comment sections began revealing unsettling claims. One particular comment resurfaced and stood out. A former employee of a bar, allegedly co-owned by Valderrama, claimed underage girls would frequently appear at his reserved tables. Even more alarming, staff were reportedly instructed not to check IDs at those tables. The comment also mentioned another investor, actress Meagan Good, and described concerning behavior during those events. According to that employee, management's policy essentially enabled a system that shielded inappropriate behavior. This wasn't about party culture or accidental oversight. It painted a picture of intentional disregard for age verification and created a dangerous environment. The claim suggested a structured setup where underage access was not only tolerated, but actively facilitated. And when it comes to Meagan Good, now known for her spiritual rebrand and public messages of healing, the contrast between public image and alleged past associations adds another complex layer to this unraveling narrative. She was allegedly an investor as well, and according to the former employee, her behavior was described as horrendous. If those claims are accurate, then the implication is that she either knew what was happening or actively benefited from it. the allegations suggest complicity at a level that demands scrutiny. Now consider this. If Wilmer Valderrama owned the venue and Ashton Kutcher, his longtime associate, business partner, and frequent collaborator since that 70s show, was consistently in that circle, it becomes difficult to believe he remained unaware. Reports suggest the bar may have functioned as a gathering space for highly questionable behavior. This is the same Ashton Kutcher who launched a tech company dedicated to protecting minors from exploitation. Yet, he was allegedly part of a group where blurred age lines and dangerous dynamics were quietly tolerated. The contradiction is staggering. Public advocacy paired with alleged private association to a troubling environment. When stepping back to observe the broader picture, a narrative starts to form. The so-called New Hollywood Rat Pack, a name Diddy once applied to this network of entertainers, doesn't just represent a circle of celebrity friendships. It appears to symbolize a protected, exclusive group with deep ties to silence and access. If circulating reports are to be believed, Ashton Kutcher may now be facing serious personal consequences. Rumors suggest his longtime partner has filed for divorce, signaling a potential fracture caused by these associations. It's worth noting how sharply public momentum shifted once Ashton's name began appearing alongside Diddy's in speculative investigations. Now, Ashton may be navigating fallout on his own. No brand partnerships, no marriage, no protective wall of silence, just lingering questions and connections to figures now under legal and moral scrutiny. As public attention grows, the calls for accountability only intensify. But what do you think? Are the rumors of divorce accurate? Was there awareness of what occurred in those circles? Was this just high-level socializing or something more calculated, structured, and protected? And is Ashton under investigation or simply laying low under the shield of Hollywood influence? Leave your thoughts, theories, and receipts in the comments. If you found this breakdown informative, hit that like button, tap subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest on what's unfolding behind Hollywood's closed doors.